The calm before the storm. The galaxy had always been peaceful in this sector. It was known for its diverse races and civilizations living in harmony, and there was little to worry about. The alien species who called it home often traded resources, shared knowledge, and collaborated in scientific research. For years, there had been no major conflicts or disruptions. Life was predictable. But today, that calm was shattered. A sudden emergency alert blinked across the communication screens of the entire sector. Alert. Breach detected. Unauthorized ship crossing sector boundaries. The message was short, but it sent a wave of panic through every corner of the galaxy. The sector was always guarded. No one was supposed to be able to get through the outer defenses. The message continued. Human warship identified. Location. Outer rim. Immediate action required. An entire fleet of alien ships, including the sector's most powerful warships, scrambled into position. The leadership of the sector's council, the representatives of different alien races, gathered quickly in their command centers. They couldn't understand how this had happened. Humans had never been this bold. They had always stayed on the outskirts of the galaxy, far from the major trading routes, but never intruding like this. And now, a human warship had breached their most secure zone. Captain Tyler, a seasoned alien commander from the planet Treller, stood before his team in the command room. His normally calm face was tight with worry. How did they get through? He asked, voice firm but filled with confusion. We've had the highest level of security in place for over 1,000 years. No one should have been able to breach this sector. The sector's defense systems were some of the most advanced in the galaxy. They had shields that could repel even the strongest of weapons, cloaking systems that made them invisible to enemy ships, and an advanced surveillance network that could track any ship from light years away. It made no sense. Yet here they were, facing the reality that a human warship had passed right through it all. Captain, the warship is no longer on our radar, reported Lieutenant Syria, an alien intelligence officer. It's gone. Completely vanished. Impossible, Captain Tyler muttered under his breath. He glanced around the room at the alien council members, all equally bewildered. The command room was filled with murmurs of disbelief. How could a human warship, a ship they'd never seen before, simply vanish? We've never encountered anything like this, said Commander Zora, a military leader from the planet Calyx. Human ships have always been primitive compared to ours. This isn't a normal human ship. The sector's forces quickly realized they were in uncharted waters. This was no ordinary ship. There was something about it that felt different, dangerous even. And the humans, they knew how to stay hidden. It was clear the warship had an advanced cloaking device, something that was able to hide its presence from the most sophisticated radar systems. No one had expected humans to be capable of this level of technology. The council leaders gathered together in a virtual meeting. Their voices were calm, but there was a tremor of unease in each one. The future of the sector was at risk, and they knew it. We must take immediate action, said Supreme Commander Veller, the leader of the Center Fleet. The human warship may have breached our sector for peaceful purposes, but we cannot take any chances. If they've come to test our defenses, we need to prove that we're not weak. If they've come to attack. The commander paused, letting the words hang in the air. We must prepare for war. Meanwhile, on the human warship, Captain Rena, the leader of the fleet that had entered the sector, sat in her chair, gazing out into the stars. She had received no warning of their arrival. The mission had been simple: get past the defenses and make their presence known. She had expected resistance, but what she encountered was different. Her crew had already reported that the alien ships, despite their impressive size and firepower, had done nothing to stop them. The human warship was equipped with technology they had developed in secret, far more advanced than anyone had imagined. We are ready to proceed, Captain, said her communications officer, Commander Derek. Rena nodded slowly. Alert the sector. Let them know we're here. Just as her crew began preparing for the next stage of their mission, a chilling message blinked onto their communication screens. The message read, "You are not welcome here. Leave now, or face the consequences." Captain Rena smiled faintly. "Let them come," she muttered under her breath. Back in the alien command centers, tension was rising. No one knew what the humans wanted or why they were here. Was it a challenge, a test, or something far worse? The aliens weren't prepared. They thought they had everything under control, but a warship that could cloak itself, a warship that could defy all their defenses. The storm was coming, and no one knew how to stop it. Human warship revealed. For hours, the galaxy's eyes remained fixed on the screens. No one had heard from the human warship since its last chilling message, and every alien race in the sector was on edge. The Council's communication channels were flooded with messages, each one more frantic than the last. Every military officer in the sector was on high alert. Then, it happened. At precisely 300 hours, the cloaking field around the human warship flickered. It wasn't much, just a brief disturbance, almost imperceptible. But it was enough. For the first time, the alien forces saw the ship in its full glory. It was enormous. Unlike any ship they had encountered before, the human warship was sleek yet massive, its hull made of a dark, metallic material that seemed to shimmer with an unnatural energy. It wasn't just a ship, it was a fortress, gliding through the sector with quiet confidence. There were no signs of wear or age, no battle scars or damage. It was pristine, as if it had just been constructed, and was now ready for something much bigger than anyone could have imagined. At first, the aliens were stunned into silence. This wasn't the kind of ship they had expected. Humans were supposed to be a young, evolving species, still figuring out how to defend themselves in the galactic community. Their ships had always been primitive by comparison, clunky and inefficient. But this was different. Captain Tyler stood at the helm of his fleet's flagship, watching the warship as it moved silently through the sector. The communications panel beeped continuously as his officers tried to make contact with the human vessel, but there was no response. It was as if the ship didn't even care about them. "Can we contact them?" Tyler asked, his voice steady but filled with growing concern. "No response, Captain," said Lieutenant Surya, her fingers flying across the control panel. "It's as if they're ignoring us." The warship hovered in the empty space, and then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the communication screens came to life. A message flashed across the screen. The words cold and direct. "We are the humans. Our ship is the Reclaimer. Prepare for the test." The Council immediately responded, requesting information, demanding explanations. They wanted to know why the humans were here and what they intended. But the humans remained silent, not offering any answers. "We cannot afford to wait any longer," said Commander Zora, staring at the screen with frustration. "We need to engage them now." Captain Tyler glanced around the room. Every officer, every leader in the room was waiting for his orders. The aliens had been taken off guard, but now they had a chance to show their strength. The fleet had been called to defend the sector. They would show the humans that they could not simply waltz in and challenge them. But Tyler hesitated. Something about the human warship didn't sit right with him. It wasn't just the ship's appearance or its size. It was the power radiating from it, the confidence with which it moved. He had faced countless enemies, but this was something else. The warship seemed to exude an aura of invincibility, as though the humans had no fear of anyone in this sector. "Captain, we need to make a move," Zora urged again. "The longer we wait, the stronger they'll grow." But just as Tyler was about to give the order to advance, the warship did something unexpected. It wasn't an attack. Not yet. Instead, it released a pulse, almost like a signal, across the sector. For a moment, every ship, every station, every sensor was disrupted. Then, just as quickly, everything returned to normal. The human warship was gone again, hidden by its advanced cloaking device. "What the?" Commander Zora exclaimed. They just vanished again. Tyler clenched his fists. They are playing with us. We have to be ready. The council leaders were left to wonder if the humans had come to fight, or if they had come to do something far more dangerous. The warship had shown them its power, and now, it seemed, the real test was about to begin. The aliens didn't know if they could defeat such an enemy, but they knew they had no choice but to try. On board the reclaimer, Captain Renna stood before her crew, watching the sector unfold through the warship's reinforced windows. The ship's cloaking system flickered again as the fleet of alien ships tried to locate them. But Renna wasn't worried. The humans had planned for this. Their technology was superior, and now, they were ready to see if the sector had the strength to face them. Prepare for Phase 2, Renna commanded, her voice calm but unwavering. Let them see what we can do. The human warship had revealed its presence, but this was only the beginning. The test had just started. A secret weapon. As the human warship continued to slip in and out of view with its cloaking device, the alien forces grew more and more uneasy. They had never faced a ship quite like it. And the more they observed, the more questions arose. Could a human vessel really be capable of such power? Was it even possible that humans, who had long been considered a fledgling species, had developed technology far beyond anything the alien races had ever imagined? Captain Tyler stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring out into the abyss. He wasn't one to let fear control his actions, but the human warship's abilities were starting to wear down his confidence. Every move they made was precise, calculated, and utterly mysterious. The pulse they had sent out earlier had disrupted the entire sector's communication systems, leaving every alien ship temporarily blind. The humans had the upper hand, and it was clear they weren't interested in negotiating. They were here for something, and they wouldn't leave until they got it. We've analyzed their weaponry, Captain, said Lieutenant Surya, breaking his thoughts. It's unlike anything we've encountered. The warship's energy output is off the charts. The cloaking device is powered by a technology we've never seen before, and their weapons, they don't even register on our scans. I've heard rumors, Tyler replied, his voice heavy. Rumors of a human weapon so powerful it could tear through the fabric of space and time itself. But I thought they were just stories. Commander Zora stepped forward, her eyes narrowed in suspicion. Stories, Captain. Are we to believe that the humans have somehow developed a weapon that can alter reality itself? It sounds like a myth. Tyler's face was grim. We don't know what to believe, but something doesn't add up. The human warship's technology is unlike anything we've seen, and its power is undeniable. It's as if they have an edge, an advantage that we're not prepared for. Back on the human warship, Captain Renna stood in front of a map of the sector, her mind focused on the task ahead. She knew the aliens were confused, unsure of what to make of the reclaimer and its abilities. She had expected that. She had expected fear, disbelief, and confusion. But none of that mattered now. They had come this far, and now it was time to make their move. Commander Derek, report, she said, her voice calm as ever. Derek looked up from his console, his eyes full of determination. Captain, we've gathered all the data we need. The sector's defenses are formidable, but their technology is no match for ours. The cloaking device is working perfectly, and the pulse we sent earlier has them on edge. We're in position to strike. Renna nodded. Good. Let them wonder what we're capable of. But we won't reveal our full strength just yet. It's time to test them. We'll show them just enough to make them realize how outmatched they are. But what Renna and her crew didn't know was that the aliens were already making plans of their own. They hadn't given up, and they were more determined than ever to figure out the true nature of the human warship's capabilities. Back at the alien command centers, the council was in full discussion. The rumors about the human weapon had grown louder, and now it seemed they might be true. There were whispers of a weapon that could bend space, a creation of unimaginable power. If such a weapon existed, it could not only destroy the sector, It could tear apart entire star systems. "We cannot underestimate them," said Supreme Commander Veller, his voice cold with fear. "If the humans truly possess such a weapon, we may be facing an enemy unlike anything we've ever encountered. We must act quickly before they reveal their full power." The council nodded in agreement, but there was a sense of hesitation in the room. No one knew if they could truly stop the humans if they were as powerful as rumored. But there was one thing they did know for sure. This wasn't just a test of strength anymore. The sector's survival was at stake. "We need to learn more," Commander Zora said. "We need to understand exactly what this warship is capable of. We've sent scouts to analyze its movements, but it's like they're disappearing. Our best minds need to work together on this." "But what if it's too late?" asked Captain Tyler. His voice was soft, but the concern in his eyes was clear. "What if we've waited too long? What if they already have the weapon, and it's too powerful for us to stop?" "I refuse to believe that," Zora said, her voice firm. "We've faced worse odds before. We'll find a way to counter whatever they're hiding." But deep down, even Zora wasn't sure. The more they tried to uncover about the human warship, the more questions arose. The energy readings, the cloaking technology, the untraceable weapons, it was all beyond their understanding. It wasn't just a threat to their sector, it was a threat to their very way of life. As the days passed, the human warship continued its mysterious maneuvers, staying just out of reach, watching, waiting. The tension in the sector was palpable, and everyone, alien and human alike, knew that the time for answers was rapidly approaching. Would the aliens discover the secret weapon before it was too late? Or was this just the beginning of a far larger conflict that would change the galaxy forever? The human commander's message. The tension in the sector was unbearable. Alien forces stood on edge, their warships stationed throughout the galaxy, waiting for any sign of the human warship's next move. The humans, however, remained eerily quiet. Their warship, the Reclaimer, drifted silently through space, hidden from all but the most powerful of surveillance systems. It was as though they were watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But the silence was broken suddenly. A message flashed across every communication channel in the sector. It was the humans, and this time, they were not hiding. They had come to speak. The message was brief but direct, its words sending a ripple of shock across the alien command centers. The screen flickered, and a cold, commanding voice filled the room. "We are the humans. Our ship is the Reclaimer. We have breached your defenses, and we will not leave until we have proven our superiority." The voice was steady, unwavering. There was no apology, no plea for peace, only cold certainty. The message wasn't a demand for negotiation. It wasn't even a challenge. It was a declaration. The council, sitting together in their meeting chambers, watched the message with stunned silence. No one had expected such an aggressive tone. The humans had shown no signs of hostile intent before, yet here they were boldly declaring their power. The message seemed to echo in the room, filling it with unease. "What is this?" Supreme Commander Veller demanded. His voice quivered with a mixture of fear and disbelief. "What do they mean by prove our superiority? Have they come to conquer us?" "We don't know," replied Captain Tyler, his brow furrowed. "But this is unlike anything we've ever faced. They've made their move. They want us to know that they're in control." The council leaders exchanged worried glances. What could the humans possibly mean by proving their superiority? And how far would they be willing to go to make their point? Meanwhile, aboard the Reclaimer, Captain Renna stood before her crew, watching as the message broadcasted across the sector. She had expected resistance, but she had also expected a response, perhaps one of anger or fear. But this wasn't what she had anticipated. The aliens seemed stunned, unable to respond in any meaningful way. She could feel the weight of their uncertainty, their fear. This was exactly what she had wanted. Renna was calm, her face impassive. She had studied the alien races, and now she knew their weaknesses: fear, pride, arrogance. She knew that if she could break their spirits, the battle would be over before it had even begun. Her first officer, Derek, stepped up beside her. "Captain, we've received a response from the sector's leaders. They're demanding an explanation for our presence. They want us to withdraw immediately." Rena's lips curled into a small smile. Let them demand. Let them threaten. They are simply testing the waters. She turned to face Derek, her gaze intense. "Prepare the fleet for Phase 2. It's time they learn that they are not in control anymore." Across the sector, alien commanders scrambled to organize a defense. The humans' declaration had caught them off guard, but now they had no choice but to prepare for the worst. Their warships aligned, forming an impressive line of defense, their weapons primed. But no one knew what to expect. No one knew what the Reclaimer was capable of, and the thought of facing it in battle filled their hearts with dread. Captain Tyler gathered his officers around a large table in the command room. "We cannot let the humans push us around like this. We must show them that we will not be intimidated." "But Captain," Lieutenant Seria spoke up, "what if their ship is more powerful than anything we've ever faced? What if they're holding something back? What if this is only the beginning?" Tyler's eyes narrowed as he considered her words. He had been hoping for a peaceful resolution, but it was becoming clearer that the humans didn't want peace. They had come to test them, to show them that humanity was no longer the weak, fledgling species they had once been. "We will face them head-on," Tyler said, his voice firm. "We will show them that the sector is not theirs to conquer." Commander Zora stepped forward, looking at Tyler. "But, Captain, we cannot underestimate the technology they have. Their ship is unlike anything we've ever encountered." Tyler nodded slowly. "I know, but we have no other choice. We'll fight them with everything we've got." Back on the Reclaimer, Rena turned to her crew as the final preparations were made. "Our message has been sent. The aliens have shown their hand. They are not willing to surrender. But they will soon understand that we do not need to negotiate. We will take what we need by force." The message had been clear. The humans were not here to ask for permission. They were here to prove that they were no longer the underdogs of the galaxy. They were here to show that humanity was ready to take its place as the strongest force in the universe. As the warships on both sides prepared for battle, the quiet before the storm began to fade. The first shots had been fired, not with weapons, but with words. And now, the real test would begin. The first skirmish. The sector was quiet, too quiet. After the human warship's bold message, the alien forces had scrambled into position. The tension was palpable, and every ship, every station, stood ready, anticipating the worst. They had prepared for battle, but nothing could have fully prepared them for the human warship's power. The first strike came at dawn. Without warning, the human warship, the Reclaimer, surged forward, its massive form breaking through the cloak once again. This time, however, it didn't vanish. The warship seemed to glide through space with an eerie calm, its dark hull gleaming in the cold light of distant stars. As it approached the front lines of the alien forces, it wasn't just the size of the ship that struck fear into the hearts of those who watched. It was the sheer confidence of its movement, as though the ship knew there was no force in the galaxy that could stop it. Alien warships, led by Captain Tyler's fleet, moved into position to intercept the Reclaimer, their weapons primed and ready. The space between them filled with tension as both sides waited for the first shot to be fired. The Council's leaders watched from their command stations, their eyes glued to the monitors, hoping to see the alien ships stand strong. "Are we sure about this?" Commander Zora asked, glancing at the others. "We don't know what they're capable of. What if this is a trap?" "We don't have a choice," Captain Tyler replied, his voice steady but edged with concern. "We've already committed. If we don't act now, we may never have another chance to show our strength." The first volley of laser fire erupted from the alien ships. Brilliant green beams of energy shot across the void, aimed directly at the Reclaimer. The warships fired relentlessly, their weapons lighting up the space between them and the human vessel. But to their shock, the human warship didn't even flinch. The shots hit the reclaimer's shields, but the ship barely moved. The energy beams simply dissipated, absorbed by the warship's advanced technology without causing a scratch. Captain Tyler's jaw tightened. It's not even affecting them. The human warship's response was swift. From its underside, massive plasma cannons emerged. They fired in rapid succession, each shot sending shockwaves through the sector. The first hit landed squarely on one of the alien warships, and the result was devastating. The alien ship disintegrated in an explosion of light and energy. A flash of brilliance filled the dark space, blinding everyone for a brief moment. "Captain!" Lieutenant Saria shouted, her voice filled with disbelief. "We've lost the Sargon." It was obliterated in one shot. The entire command room fell into stunned silence. A warship destroyed in a single strike. No one could have predicted such raw power. The alien forces had been confident in their strength, but the humans were showing them that they had underestimated their foe. The fear was palpable now, as the remaining ships hesitated, unsure of their next move. "Stay focused," Captain Tyler barked. "Return fire. All ships, concentrate fire on the reclaimer. We cannot let it break through." The alien fleet, shaken but determined, fired again, this time unleashing a barrage of missiles along with energy blasts. The reclaimer's shields flared bright, absorbing the incoming attacks, but this time, the human ship didn't sit idle. With incredible speed, the reclaimer accelerated, its massive hull swerving to avoid direct hits, like a predator dodging the grasp of its prey. "What are they doing?" Zora demanded, watching the reclaimer's movements. "It's moving like it's alive, as though it knows our every move." It was true. The reclaimer wasn't just avoiding their attacks, it was predicting them. It was almost as if the ship had an intelligence that could read the battlefield in real time, countering every move the alien forces made. It was a terrifying sight. Suddenly, the human warship made its move. With a powerful burst of energy, the reclaimer surged forward, charging through the enemy lines like a battering ram. One of the alien ships, the Xender, tried to make a last-ditch effort to block the warship's path, but the reclaimer tore through its defenses effortlessly. The alien ship was split in two with a single precise blast from the warship's forward cannons. The battle was chaotic now. Explosions rocked the sector as the remaining alien ships scrambled to avoid the wrath of the human warship. But it was clear, the humans were in control. No alien vessel could match the speed and power of the reclaimer. It was as if they were fighting a force of nature itself. "We're losing ground," Captain Tyler said, his voice tight. "We need to regroup and reassess our strategy." It was too late. With another burst of energy, the human warship disabled several key ships in the alien fleet, rendering them immobile. The remaining alien forces were forced to retreat, their ships scattered and disorganized. The reclaimer stood alone in the middle of the battlefield, untouched, unscathed. It was an overwhelming show of force, and the aliens knew they had been outclassed. As the last of the alien warships fled the scene, Captain Tyler stood in stunned silence. He couldn't believe what he had just witnessed. They had thrown everything they had at the reclaimer, and yet the humans had defeated them with ease. The humans weren't just a threat. They were a new kind of enemy, one the sector wasn't prepared for. Back aboard the reclaimer, Captain Renna stood calmly, watching the retreating alien ships on the monitors. Her face remained calm, even as her crew celebrated their victory. She had known that the first skirmish would be a test, and now it was clear the humans had passed it with flying colors. "We've sent our message," Renna said quietly, her voice cold and unwavering. "Now they know. The sector belongs to the humans, a surprising ally." The battle was over, but the tension in the sector remained thick, hanging like a cloud over the alien forces. The human warship, the reclaimer, had demonstrated power the likes of which no one had ever seen. Alien fleets had been decimated, their most formidable ships disabled in an instant, and their pride shattered. Captain Tyler stood in the command center, his hands clasped behind his back as he gazed out at the stars. The remnants of the alien fleet scattered across the sector, retreating with their tails between their legs. It had been a devastating defeat, but something gnawed at him. The humans had made their point, but what were they really after? "We've been pushed back," Lieutenant Surya said, her voice heavy with the weight of their loss. "The Reclaimer is far beyond anything we can counter." "I know," Tyler muttered, his eyes narrowing. "But why are they still here? What do the humans want?" Just as the words left his mouth, a communication signal interrupted the silence. The Council's leaders had requested an emergency meeting with Tyler and his fleet commanders. The screen flickered to life, and Supreme Commander Veller's face appeared, grim and determined. "Captain, you've done well to hold the line," Veller said, his voice carrying a tone of rare praise. "But I fear that we are no longer fighting a war we can win." Tyler's eyes widened. "What are you suggesting, Commander?" Veller's expression softened slightly, but his words were sharp. "We must consider all options, and one of those options is an alliance." Tyler blinked in surprise. "An alliance? With the humans?" "Yes," Veller replied, his voice growing more serious. "I've received a message from an unexpected source. A faction of my people, who have been studying the humans in secret for years, are willing to work with them. They believe that humanity holds the key to something far greater than anything we've ever known." Tyler's brow furrowed. "And you're willing to trust them? After what happened?" "I'm not sure we have a choice," Veller admitted, leaning forward in his chair. "If we don't make a move now, the humans will control this sector, and we'll be left with nothing. We must join forces with them or risk being wiped out entirely." "Why now?" Tyler asked. "Why did they wait until now to reveal themselves?" "The truth is, they've been watching us. They've been learning. This faction that wants to ally with the humans has been planning this for years, hoping to use humanity's strength to turn the tide in our favor. They believe that the only way to survive is to stand with the humans, not against them." Tyler stared at the screen, the weight of the decision pressing down on him. The idea of allying with the humans seemed impossible, but could they afford to fight alone? With every passing hour, the humans were becoming stronger, more confident. They had the upper hand, and if the aliens didn't do something soon, they would lose everything. Suddenly, a new voice interrupted the conversation. It was an unexpected presence, someone who had not been part of the council meetings before. "Captain Tyler, I'm speaking to you on behalf of the Center faction. We have been monitoring the situation for some time now. You have fought valiantly, but your chances of winning this war alone are almost non-existent." The alien's face appeared on the screen, and Tyler felt his heart race. This was no ordinary diplomat. This was Commander Lyra, the leader of a smaller faction of the Center people, one that had kept to itself for centuries, choosing neutrality over engagement. "You're suggesting we join forces with the humans?" Tyler asked, still processing the revelation. "Yes," Commander Lyra responded, her voice calm but filled with urgency. "The humans have something we need, an understanding of warfare and technology that we cannot ignore. They are not here to conquer us. They are here to ensure their survival, just as we are. If we don't stand together, we will all fall." Tyler looked around the room, his fellow commanders' faces reflecting a mixture of skepticism and desperation. It seemed impossible to trust humans after the devastating attack they had just unleashed. But something in Lyra's tone caught his attention. There was no sign of deception, no hidden agenda. She was as frightened as they were. "What exactly do you propose?" Tyler asked, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside him. "We propose an alliance, one based on mutual survival," Lyra said, her expression hardening. "The humans have proven their strength, and their technology surpasses anything we can imagine. Together, we can ensure that the threat from beyond our galaxy does not destroy us all. We will offer our support, our fleets, and our knowledge in exchange for protection. It was a lot to take in. Captain Tyler stood there, torn between his pride and the stark reality before him. He had just witnessed the full force of humanity's might. Could they really afford to ignore the power of this unexpected ally? "I'll need time to consider this," Tyler said, his voice low. "But I understand the gravity of your offer. We will respond shortly." The screen went dark, leaving Tyler in silence. The room was heavy with the weight of the decision ahead. He had spent his life fighting for his people, leading them with honor and strength. But now he had to consider the possibility that an alliance with the humans might be their only hope. Outside the command center, the stars continued to shimmer, indifferent to the decisions unfolding below. The sector's fate hung in the balance, and the clock was ticking. Would the alien forces unite with the humans, or would they continue to fight against a power far greater than their own? The final showdown. The sector had never been more divided. The alien factions were in turmoil, unsure of how to proceed after the devastating defeat at the hands of the human warship, the Reclaimer. Captain Tyler, along with the Council, had struggled with the decision to form an alliance with the humans, but time was running out. The humans were powerful, and their presence in the sector could no longer be ignored. The question now wasn't whether the aliens could defeat them, but whether they could join them to face an even greater threat looming on the horizon. The tension was palpable as representatives from various alien factions gathered in a secluded command room. A decision had been made. The fate of the sector would be decided here, not by force, but by an uneasy truce, a fragile alliance between the humans and the alien races, forged out of mutual survival. But the humans, always calculating, had their own agenda. "Captain Tyler," said Commander Lyra, her voice grave, "the humans have agreed to work with us, but we must be clear. They will not stand for weakness. If we are to succeed, we must give them everything they need to win this battle. If we fail them, the Reclaimer will show us no mercy." Tyler nodded grimly. He had learned that the humans were not here for negotiations. They were here to take control. They had proven themselves stronger than anything the aliens had ever imagined, and their goal now was clear: survival. They weren't going to let anything stand in their way, not even their former enemies. A transmission signal interrupted the room's tense atmosphere. The familiar face of Captain Renna appeared on the screen, her expression cold and confident as always. "Captain Tyler, we've analyzed the situation," she began. "The sector is under threat from an external force. The power we showed you in the last skirmish was only a fraction of what we have. But now we face a much greater danger." "What kind of danger?" Tyler asked, his voice steady despite the rising tension in his chest. Renna's eyes flashed with intensity. "There is an enemy far beyond this sector, one that has been hunting us for years. The warship you saw, the Reclaimer, is a prototype. It is one of the few that survived their initial attacks. They are coming, Captain, and when they arrive, we will need every ship in the sector to stand with us if we want to survive." The council leaders exchanged nervous glances. An enemy worse than the humans. They hadn't even fully comprehended the strength of the Reclaimer, let alone the terrifying thought of a greater power lurking in the shadows. "What kind of enemy are we facing?" Commander Zora asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. "The kind of enemy that doesn't negotiate," Renna replied coldly. "They will take everything from us if we don't stop them. This isn't just a fight for territory. It's a fight for survival. All of us, humans and aliens alike, are in this together. If you want to live, then you will fight alongside us. There is no other choice." The room went silent. The weight of the decision pressed down on everyone. An alliance had seemed impossible only days ago, but now the threat of an external enemy made it all too real. If they did nothing, they would all be destroyed. But if they fought together, could they win against a force even more powerful than the human warship? Tyler finally spoke, his voice quiet but filled with resolve. "Then we have no choice. The sector will stand with you, Captain Renna. We will fight together." "Good," Rena said, her tone unwavering. "Prepare yourselves. The enemy won't wait much longer." As the transmission ended, Tyler turned to his fellow commanders. "We have to unite every force we can. Every ship, every weapon. We cannot afford to fail." Hours later, a vast coalition of alien ships, joined by the Reclaimer and its fleet, gathered at the edge of the sector. The new alliance was still fragile, the trust barely beginning to form, but they had no choice but to fight side by side. It was a daunting sight. Alien ships of every shape and size, the Reclaimer at the center, an imposing force unlike anything the sector had ever seen. "Captain, the enemy has been detected," Lieutenant Surya reported. "They're heading straight for us." Tyler's heart raced as he stared at the readings on his screen. The enemy ships were unlike anything the sector had ever seen. They were enormous, their shapes sleek and alien, their weapons glowing with an ominous energy. The enemy's technology was far superior to anything the sector had ever encountered. The fight for survival was about to begin. The first wave of enemy ships broke through the darkness, their weapons firing in unison. The space around them exploded in a cacophony of fire and light. The coalition of alien forces, now joined by the human warships, returned fire with everything they had. It was a desperate, chaotic battle, with ships falling one after another. But the Reclaimer's advanced technology turned the tide. Its cannons blazed with fire, cutting through the enemy forces with brutal precision. The aliens, now working alongside the humans, fought with newfound determination, using everything at their disposal to push back the overwhelming enemy. Tyler's heart pounded as he watched the battle unfold. It was clear now that the humans weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for something much larger. They had come to prove that they were the true power in the galaxy, and nothing would stand in their way. As the battle raged on, the enemy forces began to retreat. The humans, with their new alien allies, had managed to break their momentum. The enemy was weakened, but not yet defeated. "We've done it," Captain Rena said, her voice steady as she watched the enemy fleet pull back. "But this is just the beginning. The real war is still ahead." Tyler stood silently, watching the retreating enemy forces. The sector had survived, this time, but the galaxy was changing. The humans were no longer the underdogs. They had proven their strength, and now the entire galaxy would have to reckon with them. The battle was far from over, but one thing was clear. Humanity had emerged as a force to be reckoned with. And the sector, no, the entire galaxy, would never be the same again.